Welcome back everyone, DestinysJesus here. In this video I'm breaking down how TH0MASHD uses the W key really efficiently in the solo cash cup. I think he ended up with the highest elims I've ever in the tournament, and he was actually in first place for a long period of time and finished in 4th overall. This is basically making a really good video for you guys who are kind of struggling with fighting in the current meta with the pump and the primal and the makeshift, where it's a little bit different compared to old season with some more shotguns, and there's still quite a large skill gap in terms of what you need to do with the pump to actually make sure you play correctly. As always, hope you guys enjoy this video, make sure to like if you did, and let's get into these games. Okay, so as we go into this first fight here, the first thing I want you guys to pay attention to is just how patiently he actually plays his angles as he sets up on the wall. First of all, just getting really good use of this arc and wall replace. If you guys aren't familiar with this wall replace, it's basically where you're approaching a ramp on a diagonal to a box just like this, and you can go ahead and swing on different angles. You can also swing on above and take walls in a load of different ways. Try this a good few times, and also look at his movement really closely. You already saw it there for a second, but again, every single time as he's breaking wall, he's swinging actively to the left hand side. He's moving over to the left to get out the way of the other person peeking them, and then as he takes it, he swings back into the right, just as he did right there. He's playing really patiently and slow, waiting to see if he can get an angle on this. Now he drops down and gets the wall, again doing the arc and wall replace where he approaches on the ramp on the diagonal of the wall, catches the guy off as he overcommits to that right hand peak, and then look here as he goes for these phase boards. First of all, this is a really useful technique that you guys should know by now. So basically, whenever somebody edits out a box, you can actually get that cone above their head just by looking downwards, and you'll be able to get the cone over the top. And then look here, as he shoots forward and break, he actually gets that side wall to stop the guy getting out that way. That means the only exit for this guy is either stand there and pickaxe through the cone or the wall to the side, which result in an easy kill for Thomas, or he has to go out towards TH0MASHD, which is actually what ends up doing here. So you can see he tries to go for the wall a couple times, the guy's forced to go out towards Thomas, and he keeps coming in, making sure he gets all those build pieces around the guy. And then finally here, just wins the pump as he gets that wall from distance, and the guy's kind of left with nowhere to go. One thing that Thomas is always doing, and that most pros actually do in these solo cups, is always trying to make sure they open the fight with a good AR beam, just by making sure they get a good angle, and oftentimes just waiting for your opponents to cross over a field where you know you're not going to be like it's jumping. Right here you can see there's a load of objects the guy can farm like trees, so it's quite likely he's going to slow down and stop, or alternatively you can just wait for the guy to actually go ahead and do a jump and then shoot at the top of their jump, where it's a lot harder for them to react. So right here does perfectly that. Waits for the guy to jump, see how he perfectly tracks him up when the guys kind of slow down. You can perfectly read exactly where they're going to land. Gets 2 white tags to open up there, and then as he pushes over, this is pretty simple stuff. Just shoot the guy out so he can't heal, then come in, get the wall low for the wall replace, get the angle, and then get the kill. So first things first in this clip is actually just a nice retake that you guys can do whenever you're build fighting somebody. Basically just go ahead and do a scissor ramp just like this, and then got those extended high walls out to the side blocking off both angles, and then do a window edit and then go for a cone. This has worked most of the time. You can catch a lot of players off like this, but this guy actually went out to the side. But now this is where the real juice of this clip comes in. So right here you can see exactly what he's doing. He's basically just playing extremely patiently, waiting for this guy to make any kind of edit play on him. And you can just see this guy kind of panics and messes up his edit. That allows Thomas the timing, where because of that patient play, he's able to get the cone slide in at the exact same time he breaks the wall. If you don't know how to do that, just make sure you place the cone first, then go for the wall placement because there's a slight delay on the wall. So he gets both, gets the quick tag in, and then look, instead of committing straight back into a shot before his pump's ready, he can get damaged. Instead he swings to the left, then lets the guy take the wall. Now he actually goes from above, gets the double edit down, gets on the wall again. Instead of instantly swinging and trying to rush the fight, where the guy could easily just catch him off guard with one of these plays, but he rushes out maybe even with a primal shotgun, which can be quite daunting. Instead he just waits really patiently for the guy to run out and then wins an easy aim duel. You lose an aim duel like that if you're standing ready with your pump, as long as you make sure your crosshair placement is on point and that you're entirely ready for that play to be made on you. So right here, TH0MASHD is in a really common situation I'm sure you guys have come across in game. When you're approaching this diagonal, it's a little bit scuffed, it's quite easy to get counter peeked. So what he does is actually correctly. You see how he switches up the angle he's approaching his arch. So there's now arches on the right hand side, he's got a little bit of cover if he was to move back. Then he comes into the wall, gets this trade shot where he's basically 1 HP, and this is a really good example of just making sure that you're trying to utilize your double movement properly in game when you need to. So right here he's in a really scuffed situation. It's quite easy to lose this 1v1, but what he does actually correctly is replace the cone and then crouch actively and look towards the bottom left, so he gets a little bit of movement acceleration, and then he's able to swing back up and get a shot in like that. Most of the times if you don't have double movement, you will die in that situation. So I'll just show you guys quickly what is probably the best double movement thing that you can use. This is pretty much the best double movement software that I recommend. Obviously there's some alternatives, but keys to input is pretty much the best. Just use strafes 1, diagonals 1, and then unclick bot keys and then click save configuration, and that will pretty much give you the best alternative to double movement. It's not bannable at all. Epic kind of clarified that, and I recommend using that, and I'm pretty sure this is what TH0MASHD is using, because before he was using the Wooting, but now he's definitely using some double movement software based on his VODs. In this kind of scuffed off spawn fight at Thomas's shot spot of this kind of junkyard area, what he actually does is really nice. He actually carries this gas can. If you guys don't know, whenever you throw down an explosive like this, no matter what it is, you can actually get a timing shot through the wall. He does it right there and gets a really nice pump timing shot on the guy, and then he's able to just keep SMG spraying and make it down to 1v1 where he's got the HP advantage. If you guys haven't had the pleasure of actually watching this endgame from TH0MASHD, it's probably one of the best clutches I've seen in solo cash cups this entire year. So I'll go down and actually just watch through it, and I'll kind of break it down a little bit for you guys. And I just mainly want to show this because it's absolutely insane what he does during this endgame. So right here, just simply angels this guy and gets this elim, immediately recognizes that he's got floppers on the ground, so he goes ahead and grabs those and then begins to rotate in zone. It's actually a really quick decision that he makes here after popping the second flopper. He realizes where zone's pulling, he builds up, and actually gets onto the zip line to get the whole way towards front side and then catch it early rotate. Now he's in this position on the front side of the zone, immediately recognizing that he's got decent mats to keep rotating, not really the best situation HP, so he needs to go for a kill for his Typhon. Immediately looks back in the zone and fan start on this guy on low ground, wins his angel versus his other player, has a little bit of chill time since he's in this other guy's full box. If you're ever in a kind of endgame hectic situation, if you kill somebody and get in their box, all of the edits won't be anybody else's, so you can just chill in that box for a while, which is what he does in this situation. Grabs the harpoon, which is a really smart play to do. Keeps moving forward. Realizes this guy's get killed, so he actually gets all of the extra mats from that player and then continues rotating forward. This is kind of Savage-esque play where he uses pump and harpoon as kind of a double pump. It's a second elim on this player, and then after realizing that and thinking all those mats from there, he starts to look up towards height. Goes complete to front side, this guy's way over peaking, so he gets a massive beam on them, looks back in Storm for the one crucial piece, rather than focusing these builds where the guy can actually reconnect them, goes to one deeper in Storm, double harpoons out, and then gets the elim as he drops. Now he's in this 1v1 situation where there's another player on low ground as well, so he needs to make sure that he tries to eliminate these guys before letting them kill each other, especially because he's running out of mats in this situation. Goes back through his old double edits here, gets a nice tag, and then just hits this insane flick on this other player. Now he's in a 1v1, and this is kind of just a stylistic shot. Absolutely insane in game. This isn't necessarily W King, but it is something really useful to know with the mechanical bow. It now actually got buffed where it can one-shot headshot. Thomas actually already punched out really nice clips on his Twitter where he's just one-shotting people. And one thing that I'd recommend when you're actually using this is, again, try to make sure that you're using it like a bolt. Don't just randomly try tap firing people from really far away. Even though there is very little drop on this gun, make sure you do it in specific spots. So right here you can see, again, he waits perfectly for this other player to actually jump. And as they're landing, as you can see, in that exact arc where you know when they're going to land, then he shoots and it's an easy 200 headshot on that other player. And that means he's basically really stacked in this game, recovers loads of shield for himself, and gets in a nice spot where he can go into an endgame pretty stacked. Whenever it's 4 for 50-50 zone, like you can see here, it's actually really useful to have a bow in your inventory just because other players will overpeak so much now. Especially since most ARs don't actually have first shot accuracy. A lot of players will just result to spraying in really open areas. Like you can see this other guy doing, he's way over peaking since he's not really scared of getting sniped at, since sniper's removed. So Thomas actually gets an easy elim when it's server lagging right here, and then actually gets a second elim on the other player in the back in the exact same fashion. So you can see another player just over peaking, not really caring about what's going on, and because of how quiet the bow is, he's able to easily get 2 elims just like that, just before endgame. So here's how TH0MASHD was able to win his final 1v1 in this third game to actually make sure he won 3 games in a row and bump him way at the leaderboards. This is a really good example, just trying to go for some count damage just by pre-firing right there, and especially because he doesn't know this other guy's HP, he has to try to go for some kind of peek before letting the zone fully close. Right here you can see a really unique tire peek that is where he hops up on the tire and then jumps up and goes for a shot. Not sure if that's intended, but this next play that he does is pretty much perfect. So you can see he baits out and actually builds the high ground for this other player with these cones forward, mainly to block him off. Other guy jumps, which immediately tells TH0MASHD that he's got no mats. And you got to think about it from the other person's perspective. When they've got no mats, they want to go for a counter peek rather than just letting you chop them out and then force a 1v1 angel. So TH0MASHD is perfect for that situation. He harpoons out in the back of the storm here, goes for that breakout play. Now think about it from the other guy's perspective again, he's immediately just going to realize, oh, he's going to harpoon me out with me twice and then try to angel me. So I'm going to catch him off guard. TH0MASHD realizes that he's going to try to catch him off guard, use the harpoon once, then spins around and catches the guy off guard with a really nice one pump. And the guy was making quite a weird angle, but TH0MASHD just spun around perfectly to get the counter shot in time.